El Paso Weekend.
Good morning and thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning. I'm Josie Ortegon. We're going to start your morning off with a look at your first forecast with Storm Tracker Dan Martinez. Dan, it was rainy overnight and very chilly this morning, and we are going to see some rain today.
Yeah, our Saturday looks to be a soggy one. We do have another little batch of storms or some rain headed our way. Let's go right over to radar and show you what I'm talking about. Over to the southwest of the El Paso area, we are tracking the possibility for some more of that rain moving in our vicinity. I'm going to loop this for you in the last hour or so, in the last 6 hours at least, and you'll see slowly starting to see some of that moisture develop over to the southwest of the El Paso area, especially right in through here. You'll really start to see that come through here, especially recently. So we'll start to see some of that slowly start to move through Las Cruces. We saw some rain in the last hour or two, but most of that has now fizzled on out. Right now we are watching things around the Deming area. They have some rain in their area right now as well. And one last view of the entire area for this hit right now, and you see things not looking bad. 42 degrees right now is what we have in the El Paso area, 42 also in Las Cruces, and your day looks to be pretty nice overall with those temperatures in the 50s. But that chance of rain dwindles quickly this early evening at 30%, but we'll hang on to a 50 in the meantime. We'll talk more about this coming up in just a little bit. Josie?
Okay, thanks, Dan, for monitoring that for us. And our newsroom is following the latest on a pedestrian accident that happened overnight. One person is dead and another in critical condition after being struck by a vehicle while walking along Loop 375. This happened just after 2 this morning, about a quarter-mile north of Loop 375 and Spur 601. Investigators say the two people were walking north on Loop 375 when they were hit by a vehicle. One person died at the scene. The other was taken to Dalso Medical Center. Police shut down north and southbound lanes of Loop 375 near the spur earlier this morning, but it is now reopened. And our newsroom is working to get more information. We'll update you on air and online as soon as we get more. And the man shot and killed by U.S. Border Patrol agents last week has been identified. That's according to the El Paso Times. The FBI identified the man as 25-year-old Tiano Metin. Metin was shot and killed after he drove through the Sierra Blanca checkpoint on January 22nd. Border Patrol officials followed Metin at a high rate of speed after agents say he failed to stop at the checkpoint. The man stopped about 30 miles from the checkpoint, and that's when officials say agents approached the vehicle. An agent yelled that the man had a gun, and that's when 2 other agents fired their guns at the man, killing him. A pistol-shaped pellet gun was found inside Metin's vehicle. None of the agents were injured in the incident. The investigation is ongoing. And new this morning, nearly 300 pounds of pot are off our streets this morning, and 2 Lower Valley women are behind bars. Last week, investigators with a West Texas Drug Task Force were keeping an eye on a home on the 200 block of Burbridge in Clint, Texas. They spotted a vehicle leaving the property and pulled the driver over on the 10,000 block of Alameda. Investigators allegedly found 64 bundles of pot hidden inside the car. The driver, 30-year-old Cristina Salazar, allegedly told investigators they'd find more pot at the home on Burbridge. When the task force went back to the home, they allegedly found 192 more bundles of pot. Officers arrested a woman inside the home, 41-year-old Magdalena Rivas. Both women are charged with possession of marijuana, over 50 pounds. 39 years, that's how much time Leonard Theus will have to spend behind bars for brutally beating a man to death with a baseball bat. We were in the courtroom yesterday as Theus appeared before a judge. The convicted killer repeatedly said he got caught up in a love triangle that led him to kill Jerome Size in self-defense. He beat Size with a bat and then rolled him up in a rug. Last week, a jury found Theus guilty of second-degree murder.
And now I'm here before you guys as looking like I'm a monster, sir. And I just want you to know that I am very sorry and I regret that somebody had to die.
But what you can give me, Your Honor, is justice. You can give me the peace of mind that that man who murdered my brother, the coward with the bat, will not walk free.
Investigators say Theus got into a fight with Size over Rebecca Gomez, who has also been charged in connection with this case. Gomez is scheduled to go on trial April 13th. During a meth bust in Las Cruces earlier this month, police arrested a father on a slew of charges, including child abuse, because of the conditions his 11-month-old baby boy was living in. ABC7 has learned police are now charging the victim's grandmother as well. Earlier this month, officers were called to this home on the 400 block of Picacho. A woman said her boyfriend pointed a gun at her face and threatened to kill her. When police arrived, they allegedly found nearly 6 grams of meth and 15 pets inside. Police say the home was filled with urine and feces. In addition to drug charges, 18-year-old Manuel Tellez Edmond is accused of not letting his girlfriend and baby boy bathe in more than a month. Police also charge Edmond's 57-year-old mother, Margaret Edmond, with child abuse. Investigators discovered hidden cameras in various rooms inside the home. Police say a recording on January 5th shows the grandmother slapping and jabbing the baby and knocking him against the crib's bars. Video recordings also allegedly show that during a 3-day period, the baby was only taken out of the crib 30 minutes to 1 hour a day. Police say the baby had minimal contact with his relatives. His only source of consistent contact was the family pit bull, who would lick his face, keep him company, and play with his toys. And moving on, the toxicology report is in. Sheriff's deputies say the man accused of speeding, running a stop sign, and killing his best friend was driving drunk. A grand jury has indicted 25-year-old Esteban Herrera on a slew of charges, including aggravated DWI and homicide by vehicle. Investigators in Doña Ana County say Herrera's blood alcohol content was nearly 3 times the legal limit. The crash happened October 24th of last year. Investigators say Herrera allegedly tried to move the body of his friend, 25-year-old Patrick Nieto, away from the scene of the crash in La Union, New Mexico. Deputies say Herrera ran away without calling 911 for help, but later returned with his mother to turn himself in. And moving on, there are now 84 cases of measles reported in 14 states since the start of this year. And that includes a frightening new case overnight in New York, one that may have exposed hundreds of thousands of commuters. Meanwhile, doctors in Arizona are scrambling to monitor 200 potentially infected people just in time for the Super Bowl, which will be played near Phoenix. ABC's Nero Kolodlinsky has more.
Overnight, New York officials confirming a Bard College student who was tested positive for measles was contagious on Sunday when he boarded an Amtrak train to Albany from New York City's Penn Station, possibly exposing hundreds of thousands of travelers in North America's busiest transportation center.
My main concern with my daughter is that, we take her to a McDonald's and she comes back with the measles.
In Arizona, officials are monitoring 200 patients of a pediatric clinic for possible exposure. An infected woman visited the office outside of Phoenix just days before an estimated 1 million visitors from around the country flooded the city for Sunday's Super Bowl. An infected person can spread the disease for days before its first visible symptoms appear. The virus lives on surfaces and in the air for up to 2 hours, meaning even after a sick person left the room, anyone without immunity could still be infected, leading some doctors to blame this outbreak on so-called anti-vaxxers, parents who refuse to have their kids vaccinated fearing unproven side effects.
We should be fully informed with what exactly is in each and every injection that goes into our child's body.
In the epicenter of this outbreak, one California healthcare company robocalling those parents with an urgent reminder.
Measles is a highly contagious infection that can have serious complications.
As schools warn their children to stay home, some pediatricians refusing to allow the families in their offices at all.
They're not welcome unless they decide to immunize. Those patients have a right to their opinion, but they just don't have a right to possibly infect my other patients who are vulnerable in my office.
It only takes a cough or a sneeze. Even a touch from an infected person can linger for hours. They will definitely be packing their hand wipes and Purell here at the Super Bowl. Neil Karlinski, ABC News, Glendale, Arizona.
And ABC7 looked into how many children in our area opted not to get the vaccination. Many are pointing to parents who choose not to vaccinate their children. And according to the Texas Department of State Health Services and the New Mexico Department of Health, those numbers are on the rise. Now, here's a breakdown of the number of children in our area whose parents have opted for vaccination exemptions. For the 2012-2013 school year in El Paso County, the parents of 266 children filed for vaccination exemptions. And that number jumped to 308 for the 2013-2014 school year, part of more than 38,000 in the state of Texas to opt against vaccinations, up 6,000 over the previous year. In Doña Ana County, the parents of 141 children filed for vaccination exemptions, part of more than 3,000 in the state of New Mexico to do so. And we spoke with Dr. Brownlee Furman, physician-in-chief at the El Paso Children's Hospital. He told us that many more parents are opting for vaccination exemptions because of a concern about side effects.
Sometimes kids get some redness of their arm, or they get a little bit of a fever, but that's really the bulk of what the reactions are like. And when you contrast to that to the severity of the illnesses that the vaccines prevent, it's a very strong argument to have the vaccinations.
Dr. Furman added that measles causes pneumonia and it can kill a child or cause devastating brain disease. He said getting vaccinated is not only in your child's best interest, but the best interest of other children in the community. And still ahead on ABC7's Good Morning El Paso weekend, rain or snow, the races go on no matter what in Summerlin Park. But there is one exception. We'll explain coming up. And later, more cases of measles being reported across the country, as we just heard. We'll have more details after the break on that. But first, let's take a live look at the roadways, courtesy of our TxDOT traffic cams. We're taking a look at Loop 375 and Spur 601. Again, the north and southbound lanes were closed earlier this morning due to a pedestrian-involved accident, but it is now reopened, so you're good to go. We haven't heard of anything other major going on in the borderland, but if we do, we will let you know. And it's Storm Track weather, Dan.
The clouds are here, and they're pretty intense right now. We're watching some more rain getting ready to move into the area. I'll show you radar coming up after the break.
You're watching ABC7, where news comes first.
You're watching ABC7's Good Morning El Paso Weekend with Josie Ortegon and Storm Track Weather with Dan Martinez.